What if being too much was actually the truth of who you are? This week, we're joined by Amy Pons, a former corporate rebel turned spiritual warrior who's here to help remind you that you didn't come here to fit in. You came to remember. We talk about the truth of our nervous systems, awkwardness as magic, and why the path home to yourself might just start with a simple fuck this. It's raw, it's real, and it's your invitation to lean in. Let's get started. Hi there. Welcome to the Empowered and Embodied Show. I'm Kim Romaine.
And I'm Louise Neal. We're two transformational coaches who are also fellow travelers on the path of growth and self-discovery. And we're inviting you along for the ride.
That's right. We're right here in the trenches with you, navigating the ups and downs of life. And each week we'll be sharing our own experiences, bringing you conversations with amazing guests, and exploring insights and strategies that have helped us find more clarity, confidence, and ease in our lives.
And trust us, we do not have it all figured out. We're learning and growing right alongside you.
So if you're ready to rise above the chaos, doubt, and confusion that sometimes life throws our way,
and step into a more empowered and embodied version of yourself,
then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Embodied Show. I am one of your co-hosts, as always, Kim Romaine, joined by my other co-host.
That's me. I heard hostess.
Hostess with the mostest.
That's me. I'm Louise. I'm the other co-host. And we have a fabulous, fabulous guest today. I'm so excited.
Hi, it's Amy. And I also go by hostess.
I love it. I love it. Like hostess cupcakes or hostess with the mostest? Or
when I talk about my podcast, I'll say hostess of women making moves because I just like that more than the masculine term, I guess, of host.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. I just think it's a fun word, hostess.
Co-hostesses is the first time I've ever heard that. So that was cool.
Hostesses. Just put in all the extra S's. So, Amy, we're excited to have you here. Amy is a corporate powerhouse that remembered that she came here to this space and time to stand flat-footed in her soul essence as a healer and a warrior. As a healer, she shows up as a certified life coach and chakra energy practitioner. And as a warrior, well, that depends where she is in her monthly cycle, but will always be creating the existence that every soul deserves to live on this plane. Either way, she unlocks the magic, the unique brilliance within each of us that has been trained for whatever reason to hide. Yeah. So much of ourselves is hidden. It is. And I know we're going to get a little bit into this a little bit later, but I feel like there's that tension between what can I share, what can I bring forward, and does it feel safe or does it feel awkward to do so?
And I should say, like, I was a corporate powerhouse, and I don't know, it's like that. All that means is that I rocked it for 20 years, and I had really been conforming to a box. And so, to your point, what that looked like for me is that, and this is where like I get a little spicy around certain terms like executive presence or personal brand and things like that, because that to me suggests that you're showing up in favor of someone else outside of you. And that was from my lived experience. It was always like, keep crushing it. Oh, and also do less. Like as a divine feminine leader, which I was in the workplace, which always looked like making sure my team was first and foremost okay every day, what their level of okayness was so that we could then dive into the work. So for me, I felt like I was hiding this incredible, bombastic pioneer of authenticity in effort to be able to not be like brought behind closed doors and be like, be less. And I finally was like, finally I was like, when they said be less, one last time I said, go find less. Bye.
I love that. Yeah, go find less. If you want me to be less, then go find less,
Go
because
find
I'm not reducing myself or putting myself into a box
it. Mm-mm.
that you think I belong in.
No.
Yeah, we do that so much. Corporate is full of boxes, right? Check boxes, right? Like,
It felt so comfortable and familiar to me because I grew up in a domestic violence home. So I was actually very safe and familiar in the idea of feeling inferior or less than. So I actually fit, quote unquote, fit really well in my, I would say, 20s and early 30s. And then I was like, oh, wait. And then when I turned 40, it was like, oh, no. So it had a lot to do with, as I was remembering, again, my soul essence. And I'm not here to say like corporate's bad, all this, but I will say, and we have mounds of data and research to showcase that the average workplace in general, besides now not just corporate, does thrive upon systems created from 100 plus years ago that only benefit one type of person. So, of course, when you're not showing up as that one type of person, you will be graded on that. And that's going to affect your money, also, at the very least, but also at the most, your mental well being and who you are at your core. And that's what I was starting to realize. And what it looked like for me before I left was like I was just numbing with alcohol because all of my gifts were coming back online. I was remembering who I was. And then I was having to like, it felt almost like the show Severance, like I was mask up the moment I would get in, and then I would mask down like when I would get out, and just still felt crummy.
Yeah, I often tell the story of when I was practicing attorney. I would get home and I would take off my suit, and it was like I was taking off an outer costume, an outer layer of skin that was not mine. And I would just leave it. It was what people started to do in COVID times, of leaving their clothes at the front door. Like I was doing that when I was practicing attorney. So I could not get it off my body fast enough so I could get into my own skin.
yeah.
What was that practice or that experience of remembering? What did that talk us through that a little bit? Like, what was that like for you?
When you get to a space when you're so attuned with energy and spiritually aligned, and by the way, spiritual is so up to you. For me, spirituality means that I have connection with energy and nature and the elements. That's really what it means for me. That varies, but what I mean today, like I can share with you how beautiful my life is, and getting here wasn't cute. It wasn't cute. Come on. So the remembering, and imagine waking up one day, and so my body already knew where we were heading, and my brain was like, don't you dare, because literally one day I woke up and everything that felt okay and stable and normal, one day I was like, oh, absolutely not, none of this. And that looked like people, places, and things that I had been just trotting along with. So to answer your question, it hurt like hell. I got vertigo a lot, and it was almost like my soul was moving at light speed to get us to the remembering, and my body was really trying to catch up. So, and I would also say to you, if you don't know this term, dark night of the soul, it's when you do realize nothing around you feels safe. Imagine how scary that can be. And I had that all of 2023. And the first moment that I had my back and I said, today's my last day. I said that in corporate because I had reached a one last straw moment when my boss said, I will break you. I was like, nah, we're not doing this. And so I said, today's my last day. I didn't have a plan. I don't recommend that, but I also will tell you that no job is worth your life. So what I like to do is, I love to find the humans that are starting to feel a little bit stirred, and they're like, and I love bringing people from I couldn't possibly to, oh, I could, to, as you see, I can and I will. And then it's like it becomes I am. So whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter as much as what you're feeling inside. When you're getting to a point where you're remembering or you're allowing space that you deserve to return to your soul essence and like what really lights you up in your favorite version of yourself. As you're starting to feel that, it's extremely helpful to give yourself so much grace and space. It can get really difficult in the day-to-day. That's really where it comes in to have to build up your support system, a coach or guide like me, or just being aware of where you're at day to day and don't rush the process. A lot of people will start this pathway and they're like, oh, this hurts and it's hard. And they'll try to go back only to figure out that you've actually already grown past what you want to go back to. And then it feels like you're trudging concrete. Because it's like, well, I don't want to go there, but I can't go here. So where am I? What's going on? Oh, by the way, we're all impacted by what's happening in the cosmos. So anything energetically out in the cosmos, we're also feeling, which in the first time in 150 years, back in March, Neptune entered Aries. This is the first time it's brought into our consciousness. Our DNA is getting upgraded at the cellular level. So a lot of times, a lot of people are like, what's happening? Because they don't have it in their consciousness yet, but their body feels it. So it's a wild ride.
Yeah, we have that. We have Pluto in Aquarius. We have all sorts of fun happening. We have Saturn about to make its move. All sorts of good stuff.
For those who feel that that's woo and that we couldn't possibly be impacted by the cosmos, how do you think the oceans move, y'all? So if you can consider that by any degree, why wouldn't your body, which is all made up of the same particles, we're actually mostly water. If the oceans can be moved by the moon's energy, why wouldn't we be moved by the energy? So.
I love this word that you've been using, this remembering, right? Like this coming back to something, and as you were talking, I really started to remember my journey a little bit different. I didn't have like a leader that was like in my face telling me something, but in my corporate journey, it was like there was this feeling of like, I don't belong here. Like I don't fit here. And it was this idea of like, but what does like fitting even feel like? Because I haven't fit for so long. I thought there was like a past tense, but it's not fitted. But I hadn't fit for so long. And so it really was this like this understanding. But for me, like corporately, I kept trying on like this remembering. I kept like trying on to say like, no, there is a different way to do this, and it's my way to do this. And I kept stepping into the room being like more myself, because I was like, no, this is what I want to bring. And it started to feel like really like awkward or disconnected. In that space. Like I started to feel that like, ooh, you didn't fit in before. Oh, now you really, really don't fit in. And it was this like feeling though that I was getting from my surroundings that made me start to question like, now who am I? Am I really like trying to fit into some place I don't belong? Like it even stirred up more questions.
I want to talk about that word awkward because Amy, I know you've talked about awkward in the past. Like why is it so bad to feel awkward, or what? Like, yeah, let's start there.
I'm always like, let's get in the ox sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like I love championing the people that I can visually see when they're bringing up something that they're like, I'm like, get bigger. Yeah. Creating that space to allow people to get awkward is so fucking fun. Oh, can I?
Yes.
Fuck yes, you can fucking curse.
Allowing people the space to get into their most awkward is so fucking phenomenal, because that's where we start to bring out those that beautiful, unique brilliance, that essence. And the terms like fit, I don't want to fit anymore. I used to want to, absolutely, admittedly. I always wanted to fit. And then I was like, oh wait, I don't want to fit. And it started with my curly hair. I was always told, straighten your hair. It's more professional. And then I was like, no. And I got like spicy with it. I got like kind of defiant teenager about it for a while. And then it's this element, and I want to go like way back. it almost feels like the moment we entered mainstream schooling was probably the first time we were told to tamp down our awkward, or like or from other kids, you know, it's like, oh, you're weird. What if we could empower them to be like, that's awesome, I love being weird. And I feel that Gen Z came out of the womb like that. Like, they're getting weird with it, and it's like, don't tell me not to be weird. Whereas I'm an older millennial, you get into the older generations, like, you were never told it was okay or safe. So it's like, imagine the most staunch person you know. Can you imagine them getting so weird that they're just joyful?
Like I try and pull that out of people. I do, because yeah, I think so. Elder millennial, we're both Gen X. I think I know for myself, having a child, the one thing that I wanted her to do was embrace her uniqueness. And to, right, that truly is that place of embrace
100%.
your weird.
Yeah.
And she does, right? Her whole group of friends, the minute somebody's like, you're weird, they're like, yeah, I am. I'm proud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were so we just were so concerned as a human species to don't you dare fall out of line. And that's where we're seeing, I feel, where we're at today in this space and time. We're a bunch of kids running around this planet just begging and yearning for attunement.
Mm-hmm.
In the ideal world, my business wouldn't exist, like where people turn to me to ignite their flame, unlock their magic. I hope this won't be needed in the future, because we're assisting people to bring out their weird more. And I get real radical with it. For instance, like, I would want to share, like, I'll tell everybody all the time where I'm at my menstrual cycle. It matters for my well-being. I'm in my luteal phase right now, my latter luteal phase. So my filter's off and I'm less padded, and I would likely, this is where I feel like my most powerful self, because I don't have all of that cushiony. It's like I can genuinely really quickly get into the place, which, like, my truth center, and say, here's what I really feel about this. And does that need to be judged by anyone? It's not bitchy. It's not too direct. That's what I always got in corporate. I'm too direct, but yet also coddling. It was so mystifying and gaslighting. It was like, it felt like there's this scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall where Paul Rudd is teaching Jason Segel to surf, or body surf or whatever. And he's like, do less, pop up, do less. Oh, do more, do less. Oh my God. It was just like, it felt like mental gymnastics every single day. Cause it was like, keep doing what you're doing. Oh, but do less. Oh, but be more here. Ooh, stop.
I just had a visceral reaction remembering my dad teaching me how to drive stick shift. And it was the same thing. Give more gas, give less gas, step in the clutch. And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to throw up.
Oh my gosh. It's like, oh my, it's just, it can just be so exhausting. So it's like, and here's the hardest part too about this, and you're remembering, and Louise, to your point, I love saying remembering, because a lot of times, again, I don't care what anybody calls it. For me, it's remembering, but for a long time I called it awakening. The thing is, I came to this plane knowing exactly who I was, and then it was trained out of me for a while. So I am now remembering. So, like when I was 4 or 5, I had these psychic abilities, and I would, adults would get freaked out about it. So I learned to hide them. And so now it's like, it's really cool that I can bring those back, but we all have those abilities. We all have those sixth senses, and so we start at the bare minimum. Like, what does your intuition look like? Do you even know her or him or them? Do you know where they are? And that's why I gravitated toward chakras, because I can show you. Like, when you feel that, you feel your intuition, like, you know where it's at. So when we can identify it in our bodies, and it's like, oh, okay, more of that. And then your body starts to realize that your brain is trusting your intuition more. And that's how you get into more of the actual truth. A lot of women I serve will be like, how do I know if it's something that's my truth or something that I was taught? And I'll say, get into your truth center. Do you remember being taught this? Yeah. All right, what does your truth center say? Something different? Cool. That's how you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Tools like, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so like any money stuff,
Mm-hmm.
likely it was all trained or, taught. So,
or taught by exclusion, because we weren't taught.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, tools like using our chakras, I use a lot with Gene Keys and human design, and right, it's like using those tools allow us to just have a visual,
yes,
right, to say, oh yeah, no, I get that. I can see how that flows.
you're exactly right. This is actually why I'm launching Magic School in June, which is for those who are, and I'll use the word awakening here, for those that are starting to get like pings, downloads, glimmers, some of those things that are like, whoa, that's so crazy that that just happened because I was thinking about this. Until you can get to the point where you trust all of those like off the bat, because it's hard to, right? We forget that we're a soul having a human experience. So it's hard to be like, that thing that seems really weird that I can't see or touch, but it's happening. I'm launching Magic School so that we can pair these knowings or these intuitive hits with actual tools like oracle cards or crystals, or so you can start practicing to where you won't maybe need the physical tool anymore, but it's really helpful to start with, to start remembering what you glean from that and start to trust it, believe it, and then practice it so that it becomes your inner knowing, not just something that's like, that's really weird that that happened. No, it's fact. And what do you need to get there?
Yeah, that trust, right? That we have lost, or maybe we never knew that we had.
Yep.
And coming back to that is a process
Mm.
that and a practice. And right, and it's really, I find it really interesting because it's not like you talk about remembering. It's not like, oh, I remember when, and it's like, no. We're talking about like something even deeper, right? Because it's not an instant recall that we have in our minds that we often think about a remembering, right? It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's like, no, I feel it, like it's in my DNA somewhere
It's a
that
feel.
starts to come out.
Yeah. And if it's something that's coming from your mind, it's likely a thought that you were taught. So that's where I love what you said, Louise, drop into your body, like literally drop into your body. And that's not easy for anybody that's brand new to this work. So that takes practice too.
Yeah.
Well, and to touch on what you talked about before, right? I grew up in a household where there was domestic violence. It sounds like you did as well, right? I was in an abusive relationship as well prior to my current marriage. And having not feeling safe in our bodies, whether it's through abuse, whether it's through
Oh my.
through systemic world that we live in, through the patriarchy that we live in, through what we see and learn external to ourselves, there's a lot of people walking around on this planet that do not feel safe in their bodies.
They are
And
dysregulated. Almost
exactly.
every nervous system that you encounter every single day is dysregulated.
Yep.
That's not to give them a pass for the way that they treat you, but also be aware. And I love that you just said that, because imagine, and this is I talk about this a lot, because everyone's like, how are so many people walking around like minding their own business right now when the world's on fire? I haven't actually talked about this yet, but like for me personally, my default is actually knowing how to operate with a dysregulated nervous system, because for the first 18 years of my life, I didn't know when the next physical, psychological, emotional, or mental safe moment was going to be for me. So that's actually how I know how to navigate right now. That said, because I'm doing the active work to work with, heal, identify, place, welcome back all of my energy gifts, because I'm doing all of that work as well, I get to choose the people, places, and things in my immediate vicinity that help me regulate my nervous system. It's still my work to regulate my nervous system. No one can do that for me. And the moment I do not feel like my immediate vicinity is serving that regulated nervous system, I remove my energy. And I understand that's a place from privilege too, because not everyone can do that. If you're sitting in a nice detention center, you're not able to do that. Remove your energy. Ooh, that brought something up in me.
Does it feel like an okay space to share?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, It's like I called in energy of people in that very moment that are sitting in those detention centers, just giving space for them. May you find peace and safety by any degree in this moment. But I don't believe that people are just ignoring all that's going on outside. Some people might be, to be able, to self-preserve. For me, it's about having an awareness of all the things that are happening out in the world. And also, for almost half of my life, I was in a daily environment that was never safe. So I'm not suggesting that I experienced all the things that people are experiencing now, but if you just go from like a dysregulated nervous system, I had that for half my life. So like I don't know, it's like, so now I gravitate toward, okay, I can have such acute awareness and empathy for everything that's happening, and I choose to identify what will keep me safe in my immediate environment, people, places, and things. And if it's a no, I'm out. If you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and all right, to take this to another somewhat awkward place for people who don't necessarily understand the language, it is, you talked about Neptune, we talked about Pluto. There's this other thing that's happening through the human design lens in 2027 that we're already in the shadow of, which really is moving us from being in a place of service to the systems, to the institutions, to service to ourselves, and not in a way to shut everything and everyone else off, but as a remembering of our humanity. That's really how I see the Cross the Sleeping Phoenix. Like that is how I understand it to be. And so we're practicing what's going to be unfolding over the next 400 years in some ways of coming into that energy is some of what my awareness is as I was listening to you.
Yes. Ooh.
You're getting all sorts of hits.
My guides just like pinched my throat chakra. I was like, what am I about to say? So in the spirit of awkward, oh my gosh, and my armpits are sweating. Oh my gosh. In this like very 3D moment of discomfort, we're being asked to transcend that it's only the human experience. If you can take like a huge macro level step into the cosmos, the systems, everything that we do today, everything that we know and do today is deep rooted in systems that were not designed with most people, the humans that are actually here and that are in mind. So wouldn't it take something really kind of out of this world to dismantle and deconstruct that? And that harms humans, and that sucks. So we don't have to be happy with the way that it's deconstructing. And this is where we're shifting to a new paradigm, a new place in space where like things like hate, war, nothing is good or bad, right or wrong. It just all is. And I acknowledge that most people will not vibe with this notion that we're like, this is all happening for us. And so it is always bringing into like, what do you feel first? Start there. What do you genuinely feel first on your own without anybody else's opining? And to your point, the more that we can stand firm in what we know to be true and that we trust in our own vibration, that's actually the ask right now. It's an energetic ask. And that doesn't mean that if you feel called to go activate in the streets or activism, whatever that looks like for you, but it's going to look different for every single individual human being. But it's allowing yourself to say, what do I feel I wish to contribute to this? And at the very most, like shining your light. And your light, by the way, is what we've been talking about, which is maybe you're awkward. Getting into your awkward, getting into your weird, getting into your unique brilliance, getting into your magic. The more you can do that and stand firm in that, or sit firm in that, whatever is that actually reverberates out amongst the collective, that vibe. And you don't have to be an energy expert to do that. All you have to do is say like, what, like for instance, before you even open your eyes every day, how do you want to feel today. Set your intention. I want to feel like my favorite self. Cool. You get to move throughout your entire day and assess everything around you. Does this keep me in my favorite self or take me out of my favorite self? And by any degree, can you remove your energy from that? That's how you get to your magic and stay in your magic. And that's actually more of what the collective energy of the world and beyond the world feels more than anything that we can do in the 3D.
Yeah.
I know, it's like, yeah, it's a lot. I know, and I don't want anyone to feel like you have to have like a masterclass in energy work and cosmos to understand this. It's like, that's why I try to bring it back into what can you literally do? And you get to discern always if there's something that brings you out of your favorite energy. Must you stay within that? And this is where it comes difficult because a lot of us are triggered by family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we're told that we can't not talk to family. And I'm like, who said? Who said? So I get to choose that proximity to the people that brought me into this world.
Yeah. I know that you and I could geek out all day in
Yeah.
that consciousness space. I loved Louise. So for people who didn't watch the video, Louise was like, yeah, big saucer eyes, like, yeah. And I love that you're here part of this conversation because, yeah.
You know, you're Kim, you do this to me too, right? Like, so this connection that like I feel differently. I'm not saying that I don't have this connection, but I feel this connection differently. And so
Awesome.
as you both are talking, I'm like, yeah, like I feel like what you're saying, Amy, I feel that it looks a little different and I have
Awesome.
some different language that goes with that. But it's
Good.
like, as me here in my life right now, there is a switch. There is this, like, this, I don't know if it's an evolution, but it definitely feels like that it's revolving, and the light that was out is now in.
Mhm.
Right. And so what I used to be doing and where I used to be was very much like they're trying to fit in, trying to be in a box, trying to be like there, out there. And lately, and I say lately, I don't mean like the last few hours, I mean the last several years, I've been really trying to understand, like, how do I stand, you say stand or sit, in my power, but how do I even know what that is? And this learning for me is really about, like, how do I put down what I've been taught to be the way of this fitting in, and now how do I fit back into myself? And that's why I love this word remembering that you said, because it is a fitting back in. It's not, it's like, yes, and it doesn't look or have to look or feel exactly how it used to, but this is this word awkward that I love that we're talking about today, because even in that, sometimes when I'm like, I'm standing in my own power and I'm like, I'm saying all the shit that I feel needs to be said in the moment, and I'm getting connected and passionate about what that is, there are moments where I'm like, who the fuck are you? Or what am I saying? Or is that even me? It's like I'm connected, but then I'm not connected. And it's like this constant ebb and flow and back and forth and this testing. And sometimes I do feel super awkward. I feel awkward in my power. I feel awkward in my body. I feel awkward. And when I can sit with it for just a little bit longer, it's like, oh, maybe that's not an awkward feeling. Maybe it has a different word. But I start to like sit in it a little bit more. And so, like, as you guys were talking about that, that's what's going through my mind.
Imagine finding your squad where you could be like, oh, I'm starting to feel awkward. And like, we're able to pick you up and be like, do more of that. So some of my favorite conversations are when someone vehemently disagrees with like what I'm sharing or feeling. And we get real hot, like passionate, not like romantic. I don't mean it like that, but it gets so ramped up where outsiders could be like, oh, they're in a really big fight. no, we're having such an incredible conversation. And being able to match that vibration, that frequency of being able to go toe to toe with like navigating how we feel in this. And I'd love to always hear a different perspective of different language, because I would argue it shouldn't look the same, because otherwise we're just parroting each other.
Sure.
So it's like, what does that language look and feel like? And like, let's chew on it, and let's bring it forth. Because one of the things we've got to get away from, and I'm typically not that prescriptive, but I'm going to say it. One of the things we've got to get away from is that there's one way, one person that we all look toward. No, it's, you said it, Louise. Here's like more of, to your point about like how we get into this space. If something comes into your mind and you can visualize the person that told it to you, that's a thread. Is that something you actually believe in your truth center? Or is that something, if you can visualize the person that told you that, and if it's like, was I taught that, or do I believe that? That gets to be the first question.
Yeah.
Dismantling beliefs is, we've used this word several times, is awkward, to say the least.
Dismantling the leaves? I've never heard that.
Dismantling beliefs,
beliefs.
is somewhat awkward. Yes. In that we have a tendency to think that our beliefs are immovable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so when we have that opportunity to say, is this belief mine? Just even asking the question sometimes can shift things.
My clients get annoyed with me because I'm always like, is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true in the court of Kim? Right. Is that absolutely true? And I'll constantly ask it. They're like, stop asking me if it's true. I'm like, is it true? Is it absolutely true? And that starts to shed light on you considering like, wait, is it? Who said? You get to question everything that you know and believe in this current space and time. I actually would implore you to.
Yeah, the lack of questioning is what gets us into the situations that feel like what we're in right now. Right? On a collective level, that place of we don't question, we just follow. That sameness, the fact that, well, Amy said this is what I should be experiencing when you're experiencing something different. It's no, just because Amy shared her experience doesn't mean that any of us is feeling the same thing. Mm-hmm. We may have glimmers that are the same. Mm-hmm. We might have echoes that feel the same, but every single one of us is unique. Every single one of us has a different experience in this world.
Synchronicities, I find, are the way that people connect to figure out like, if something lands with you, and here's an important part, either a glimmer or a trigger. And people don't like to hear that they're triggered for a reason. But the same way that you sit down with someone and are like, wow, it's crazy. I feel like I've known you my whole life. The same resonance you feel of a glimmer is the same you feel with a trigger. It's already in you. So that's the reason why you have resonance with that. It's yours. So whenever you find a synchronicity, whether that makes you feel good or makes you feel not good, it's still, if you feel it and you're able to be aware of it, it could be the thread to what is coming up in you and your body's telling you you're ready for to excavate.
That's another great word.
I think of who's that? I babysat my niece and nephew for a whole summer, and we watched I'm not going to come up with the word. It's a really popular kids show.
Builder Bob?
No, he wore a cap and glasses.
You're talking about 90% of them.
Oh, really? And there's a song called Excavator, and that's what I sing to myself.
Builder Bob has an excavator too, because they are on a construction.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Bob the Builder.
Bob the Builder. Whatever. It's been a minute.
It wasn't this one, but
yeah. It's, our conversation and our journey today has been I've been here thinking deeply about, yeah, right. Just about how this shows up in my life. right? And you were both talking about like collectively kind of like what's happening here in the world, and it's like maybe it's my questioner in me, but I am asking questions about myself, about the people around me, about my community, about my city, my province, my country, even that I have never asked before. And I find it fascinating that I'm in this space where I'm not just asking the questions, but I actually care about the answers. And it feels very different to me, but I'm very intrigued by like being in this space a little bit longer so that I can ask more questions. And I get to learn about myself in a way that I maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn if I didn't get right, if I didn't have these questions to ask, or if I wasn't in this space currently.
Here's one. Whose land do you live on?
It's not mine.
I live in Chicagoland. I'm on the land of Peoria. So when I plant my garden, I give thanks to the Peoria and Gaia, of course, as I'm sowing seeds back into her.
Yeah. Like this whole like, right, a remembering, a reconnection, a rediscovery, like lots of R words. Kim, you probably are going to tell me it's the re time. It's not the re time.
We're not in a re-time. No.
Oh, I have lots of
Retrograde.
re's.
Oh yeah, we're not in
We're
retrograde.
not in retrograde right now.
Which I love retrogrades. It's kind of like my luteal phase where it's like my bullshitometer is very sensitive during retrogrades and luteal phase, and I love it.
I love that for you. I experience them differently. I do like them, but for a different reason. I definitely feel the pulling backwards. It's it's that moment where where you're standing with your feet in the water and you can feel the sand and the water pulling you backwards. That's how I feel in that time. And I don't fight it anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll just do that for a minute. This conversation has been not awkward.
Good.
It has not felt awkward to me. I hope for the two of you it has not either. What are some of the things that we want to put a nice giant circle around or highlight or underline for our listeners to help them take away a golden nugget for themselves?
I would say if anything we talked about pulls at any thread or you're like, I encourage you to either chat with one of us or do your own research or start to feel into, if you feel good to like drop in your body and feel what that synchronicity is, awesome. If you feel called, otherwise you might need someone to help guide you through that. But I would say the more you can, and again, this is something else I say, the more you can sit with it. And seriously, I mean, just like sit with it. It being the glimmer, the trigger, the awkward, the something, the intuition, the voice in your back of your head. The more you can sit with it and get really quiet, you will, quote unquote, suddenly get the next, whatever the next is, whether the next thread, the next question, you might get a drop in of a question or an answer. You can call in your guides. That's getting a little bit more advanced than a lot of people might be. But consider that what you know or what you've learned isn't true. There are, and this is scientifically backed, there are infinite possibilities in the universe multiverse. And they only come into our physical existence when we pay attention or focus to them. So imagine that every single moment there are infinite possibilities for you. What could that open up for you?
Yeah. I love that. Like, what could be? Yeah.
And the answer is anything.
Yeah.
And that could be overwhelming. But what if it could be true? Like, what if by any degree be like, oh, anything is, like, seriously, y'all, anything is possible. That's actual very, very fact. And we haven't been taught or raised to embrace that. So it doesn't happen overnight, but just consider that there are infinite possibilities and what could that look like for you today?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to take that away. We use this word, and I've said it a number of times, like this remembering piece really struck a chord with me. And I think what I would love listeners to like feel, whatever word that is that we have this um, inherent knowing within ourselves that when we can tap into it, maybe, right, anything is possible. But
Mm.
when we can tap into that and we can find like who we are without those other things kind of filtering, then that's the I don't know, the essence or the core of the work, at least the work I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
It is that for sure. And so, yeah, I love that word. So thank you, Amy, for that offering. And that
Oh,
gift for me today was this remembering word. I love it.
I think just the part that I would like to make sure everybody heard was you're a fucking amazing individual.
thanks.
You are a magical individual, right? Like
Thanks.
this is what we need to remember for each of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
That's why I realized, I mean, on my, to your point, like both your points, I remembered I'm a healer and a warrior. So I'm here in this space and time to raise the vibration of humanity. Full stop. That's what I do. So, and that's who I am. And if anything falls out of that, I get to be a human too. That's cool because I get to like smell stuff and taste stuff. But like besides that, like that's what I'm here to do, and that's who I'm here to be. And beautifully, the universe has matched me with such amazing opportunities to be able to share that more. And I'm always going to be able to sense where someone is and be able to extract by the tiniest degree, like that thread or that seed, to be like, what could you do? What could you feel? And the answer is literally anything.
Yeah.
And that's not Pollyanna, and that's actually really freaking real. So
Beautiful. Amy, how can people connect with you in the world if they want to continue the conversation?
yeah, so I'm not on any meta platforms. That's a fun thing. Yeah. So find me on LinkedIn is like such a cool sweet spot for me because I find many women in like big job role, like they're willing to have these conversations more because they're like, oh, this doesn't feel good anymore. So LinkedIn, Amy Pons is magic. My website is unlockthemagic.org. And my podcast, Women Making Moves, is really where we celebrate the warriors of the world that are blazing new trails. So that's a lot of fun over there. And just 2 plugs, I'm getting ready to launch Magic School for those who are interested in starting to play with their intuition a little bit more, or their magic, or their anything in that space. And then also I launched today Power Hour coaching. A lot of people have come to me and they're like, I don't want to do all the long-term agreements and packages. I'm like, cool. So you're able to book just an hour with me ad hoc as you want, which is really kind of something that's cool.
That's nice. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Love it. Amy, it was great chatting with you today. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your magic with us all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. And we will see you back here, same bat time, same bat channel next week.
Take care, everyone. Bye for now. And that's all for this week's episode of the Empowered and Embodied Show. We hope today's episode has sparked something within you. Remember, we're all on this journey together. If something did resonate with you today, why not share it with a friend who might need to hear it too? You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review. Your feedback not only helps others find the show, but also helps us understand what's most valuable to you. Until next time, be kind to yourself, stay curious, and remember, we're walking right alongside you. Thanks for being part of our community.